Hey guys, welcome back to Ripe Stories. In this video, an insane neighbor bulldozed my off-grid Homestead river property and claims that I devalued her property. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. The first one starts like this. So when I was about 20 years old, I was already burnt out from the life I had in the city. There were too many people and the amount of waste that I was seeing and even producing was upsetting to me. All the foods being filled with chemicals and other things I could never pronounce turned me off from them. I was a college kid and not really thinking about any of this stuff and just eating and wasting without thinking. I gained so much weight from the bad food since I did not have money to buy organic stuff. I finally realized that I was miserable and wanted a different type of life. My grandparents had grown up in a very rural area and I remember being a kid and visiting them a lot. Eating fresh tomatoes that they grew and how they seemed so happy despite not having big paying jobs or fancy suits or watches. I decided that was more the type of life that I wanted. I had money and was able to buy a property that was empty land where I could just start my own more self-sufficient life. The first thing I needed was a home, so I built a cabin to live in with my own two hands. It took a long time and was not fantastic, but I had built a house. I started growing things and using books and past memories of my grandparents in order to get a little bit of a garden growing. My favorite thing about the property though was the river that was on it. I was able to fish along the river and that fish basically made up the protein portion of my diet. I was working hard from the start of the day to the end, but I didn't feel burnt out. I felt like the things I was doing meant something since it was all to keep me alive. I also lost all of the weight fairly quickly once I started eating better and doing manual labor. I even managed to get married and have a couple of children. I taught them about living off the land, but also made sure they learned other things that they needed in life, like math and reading. My wife teaches them during the day while I work, but they also know how to tend to the garden and even fish. The big thing I want to teach them is that nature is good and we don't want to take more than we need or waste anything. We only make enough for what we need and make sure that we take care of the land. Upstream from us is a development with a bunch of fancy houses. I know that they see us as rednecks or Amish or something because we don't live the same way that they do. We are not totally off-grid as we have a computer and even internet access. We do limit the use of it, especially for the kids, because a lot out there can be mind-numbing and depressing. One woman that lives upstream named Brenda has a huge problem with us and tried to get rid of us. She would yell at me to clean up the mess that was my garden and beehives and make a house that looked normal. She said my house would make hers less valuable if she wanted to sell it, and I told her that it was not my problem. I owned the land legally and could do what I wanted since nothing I did was against the law. She told me that she was gonna take matters into her own hands if I refused to obey her requests, and I ignored her. I did not want to keep arguing and ruining my mood because of the bad vibes she was putting out, so I woke up one morning to the sounds of heavy machines that sounded way too close to be coming from up the river. I went outside and saw a huge excavator with Brenda of all people behind the wheel controlling it. I then noticed the river that was usually a beautiful blue, it was murky and brown. She had been tearing up the riverbank and pushing the dirt and sand in the river to fill it up. The river is being ruined and she does not even seem to care. Me, stop this, you are destroying the river. Brenda, I'm just improving the area. You've been devaluing properties around here for too long. You should be thanking me, plus I can do what I want on my own property. Well, this is not even your property, I said. The river is for everybody to enjoy, and you have no right to do this. You are ruining the ecology of the area. All of those fish are gonna die being buried under the sand. The water cannot flow and feed the grass and trees. You're destroying an entire ecosystem here. Brenda, oh shut up nature boy. I don't need to listen to somebody like you. You don't know anything about the world or how things work. If you get in my way, I cannot promise this machine won't hurt you either. Me, don't you care at all about the environment? If food production gets scarce and the prices at your markets increase so high that people cannot afford it? Brenda, then it just means less annoying poor people like you to deal with. I have plenty of money to spend on food. What I don't have is patience to deal with you trying to turn this place back into the olden days. You don't need to grow food and chop wood anymore. You're lucky you don't get arrested for child abuse, making your kids live like this. Me, my kids are educated and know a lot more than the ones going to the schools do. They don't need the modern technology to be happy and smart. They take care of nature and nature takes care of their needs back. Brenda, you might want to get out of my way because I think this machine is turning towards you. I knew a threat when I heard one, and the only thing I could do was take photos and videos of Brenda doing this. I took them to the police and to environmental agencies to show them all that she had done. She had taken a public river and basically filled it with sand and dirt, so now it was gone. All to spite me for wanting to use nature as intended. The police came before she finished and told her to stop, but by that point she had done too much damage already. I was beyond furious and ended up doing something that I never thought I would in my life. I ended up suing her. I got the environmental agency to help me after explaining that I wanted to sue her to get money just to fix what she had done. They agreed to help since I did not really have money to get a lawyer or anything. We showed a court the photos and explained the damage she had done and what it could mean if we were not able to afford to fix it, that she had killed fish and the stopping of the river could even cause local water shortage issues. Brenda could only talk about the fact that her property value supposedly was being ruined because of me and the river, which was not something people wanted when buying a home. She did not have any remorse for what she did, and when asked about things like water and fish, her response was shocking. She said that if people needed fish or water, they should just go to the supermarket and get some because they had plenty. She did not have a single clue about, well, anything. She was forced to pay a ton of money in restoration costs, and with that I was able to work with this agency to clean out the river and get it back to its former state. But that was only how it looked. It would take time for the fish population to regrow and for the area to get back to its natural state. That was something that no amount of money could buy, no matter what. Brenda still had criminal charges to deal with, since it was not her river to destroy, no matter what she tried to argue. In fact, that was the entire point of her argument to the court when she was explaining why she had to try and fill the river. She claimed that it was part of her property since she lived on it and had the right to alter her own property. She wanted it gone since she would get more money for property that way. They had to explain to her that the river does not belong to her, it actually belongs to the public, that it was protected by the government, so any ownership claims by Brenda were not gonna work. She was facing serious charges and even jail time for destroying the natural environment. On top of that, she was also in trouble because I guess she is not actually licensed to use an excavator and was just operating it anyway, which caused a danger to people around her since she had no clue what she was doing. Her excuse to that? Well, she had watched a YouTube video on how to work it, so clearly she knew what she was doing. Due to all the fees and other things regarding her case, she was forced to sell her property just to be able to afford everything. I think she might have also spent a little time in jail, but I'm not sure about that part. In a strange way, I want to thank Brenda because it gave me an idea for something, another purpose I could have in order to help preserve nature, which is part of why I live the way I do to begin with. So I started to fight to get more ecological protection laws implemented where I live. I wanted the punishment for destroying natural land to be even higher and getting permits to do it being harder for people. The earth is being destroyed underneath our feet on a daily basis, and most people cannot recognize the damage that it does. I would never be a person in office making laws, but trying to fight for stronger laws gave my life even more purpose. I realize now that my family having only a small carbon footprint is not going to be enough to keep the world going for a long time. There need to be laws stopping people from flat out destroying the environment like Brenda was trying to do. We were lucky that the damage she did was reversible, because sometimes damage like that is not. Even now though, the fish are not as plentiful as they were, and I don't know if there ever will be again in my lifetime. Nature takes a long time to heal, and humans are too impatient a lot of time to let it. And the next one is an Am I the A-hole story titled Am I the A-hole for refusing to let Karen neighbor use my pool after she demanded I follow her pool rules? And by the way, Ripe Stars, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments to show your support. Thank you very much in advance, your help is very much appreciated. So I, 34 male, live in a suburban neighborhood with a decent sized backyard and a pool. I've always been friendly with my neighbors, including Karen, who is mid-40s female, who moved in next door about a year ago. She seemed nice at first, but as time went on, she started to show her true colors. Over the summer, Karen started coming over with her kids, asking if they could use the pool. At first I did not mind, because I was usually outside anyway, and the kids seemed to enjoy it, but soon things got weird. Karen began showing up unannounced, sometimes even when I was not home, and I caught her using the pool without my permission. Well, one day, I came home to find Karen and several of her friends having a full-on pool party in my backyard, complete with snacks, music, and pool floats. I confronted her, and she acted like it was no big deal, saying, "Oh, you were not using it, so I figured it was mine." I told her politely but firmly that she needed to ask before coming over and that I was not comfortable with her just assuming that she could use the pool whenever. Karen seemed annoyed but agreed to follow the rules, and then last week she took things to a whole new level. Karen knocked at my door with a typed up list of pool rules that she wanted me to follow. Her list included things like: number 1, no swimming after 5 PM because her kids have strict bedtime rules. Number 2, no loud music when her family is outside. Number 3, mandatory weekend access for her and her kids, but only for their exclusive use. I thought she was joking with this at first, but she was actually dead serious. I laughed and told her that there was no way I was following any of her rules for my pool. Karen got angry and called me selfish, saying that I was ruining the neighborhood spirit and being unfair to the kids. Now, she's been spreading rumors to other neighbors that I'm a bad guy for not sharing the pool. Some of the neighbors have even said I should just let it go to avoid drama, but I feel like this is insane. It's my pool, and she's acting like she owns it. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to let Karen and her kids use my pool after she demanded I follow her stupid rules? And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments whether you think OP is the a-hole or not. I would say obviously OP is not the a-hole. How would you ever be an a-hole for not allowing someone to trespass on your property? That is absolutely insane. Either way, a comment said, not the a-hole, Karen is insane, inform her in writing that she and her family are no longer welcome on your property, and if they show up again, you will call the authorities. People like her never back down, so you can't either. If you do, you will never know a moment's peace. Good luck. Comment number 2, not the a-hole. If you want to throw someone under the bus, use your home insurance company. Tell them that you inquired with them about allowing the neighbor to come over and use your pool anytime they wanted, and they said no because legally if something happens that the homeowner yourself would be the one ultimately responsible, so you're not about to take on that liability. If she wants her kids to swim, then she's going to have to buy a pool membership somewhere. I'm sure there's a public pool somewhere in your area that she could pay to belong to. Oh yeah, by the way, if you don't have outside cameras for your backyard, get them now and put a lock on your gate. Quick update to the story, just to let everyone know, my backyard fence does not have a lock. I've taken your advice though and purchased one from the store, and I'll be installing it tomorrow. For those suggesting I get a camera, I already have one, but it's not pointing directly at the pool, more to the fence entrance. Update: hey everyone, another update on the situation. So I went ahead and installed a keypad lock on my backyard fence. I figured it would solve the problem without needing another awkward conversation with Karen. Plus, you all were right about the liability stuff. I really don't want to deal with any potential fallout if someone gets hurt using my pool. Of course, so Karen noticed the lock pretty much immediately. She was at my door furious, saying that I was locking out the neighborhood kids and treating her family like criminals. She went on about how I was being dramatic and why couldn't I just let them use it like before. I told her straight up that I wanted some privacy and control over who was using my pool. After all, it's my backyard, not a community park. She rolled her eyes and said that I was being selfish, etc. Honestly, I feel a lot better with the lock on now. It's a bit awkward with Karen, but I would rather that than have her acting like my backyard is a public pool. Thanks again for the support. The next one is a revenge story, and it starts like this. So this happened many years ago when I used to work for a very well-known hotel chain. We were coming up to a very busy event weekend and were already completely sold out for Saturday night. We could accommodate walk-ins Friday night, but for only one night. This was expressed to all walk-ins who came to check in. They could not stay both Friday and Saturday. One set of folks checked in Friday night and were laughing as they went to their room, already with the mindset that they were not checking out and were gonna stay both nights. These rooms were booked a year in advance for this event and prepaid. We were certainly not gonna try to send someone who prepaid away because of these jerks. The next morning they left to go out for the day and left all their stuff in their room. They were reminded that checkout was noon. Again they laughed and said that they were not leaving. We had housekeeping pack up all their stuff and bring it down to the front desk area and waited for their return. Imagine their surprise when they wasted the whole day and came back to find out that we had already rekeyed the room and other people were already in it. We gave them their stuff and they were in shock. They thought that their little trick was going to get them to stay during this event, but nope, the entire city was sold out, so good luck with that. They took the corporate's number so they could complain. It still makes me laugh, and that was over 30 years ago. And the next one is a story of someone complying with Karen and then her getting what she deserves. So at my job they offer fundraising cards which have 20 coupons that give free items, and on the card it says that you can only use one at a time. However, the franchise owner allows us to accept 2 coupons at once based on that he's a nice guy. I had just gotten to work and within 5 minutes a lady drives up and steps out of a $100,000 Audi. She had ordered over the phone and my coworker was new, so he told her to bring in her coupons and we would adjust the price, but he told her that she could only use 2 coupons at a time. She comes to the counter and says that she's here to pick up for, let's say, Mandy. I pull her food out of the hotbox oven and she then even hands me 3 fundraiser coupons for a free medium pizza when you purchase a large pizza, a free garlic bread and a free cinnamon bread. I then explained that we can only take 2 at a time, and if she wanted it she would have to pay full price or I could remove it from her order and then trash it. She immediately becomes defensive, blaming it on the 15-year-old coworker that took her order, that he needs to be punished. I then again explained that I can just take the bread off and it would be no problem. She starts examining the coupons, which are very little, and tears off from the larger fundraiser card, which explains the coupon policy even more conservatively than what I was willing to allow. She starts to proclaim that because of the individual tabs don't say the coupon policy, that it is ridiculous that I am making this up. I ask her if she has the larger card, and of course she says no. After seeing that I'm not gonna back down, I cannot, as the owner can see my price adjustments and will see that I took 3, she tells me to void the order and I oblige with no sarcasm or rudeness. I never take any of these crazy people and their insults personal. I tell her, have a good day, and she then starts yelling that she did not mean that I should void the whole order. Yes, she did, as she thought I wouldn't throw away her food. She starts insulting me, but by then I explain that she won't be getting any food from this location. She asks me if I'm the manager and that she wants my personal cell phone number to send to corporate. Wanting to be done with the situation and knowing corporate is even more conservative, I write down my name and phone number and tell her to have a good day. She refused to leave, but then started calling my phone, which was in my pocket. I have an Apple Watch, so I can see that she is calling as my wrist is vibrating. After about 5 calls, I respectfully remind her that she asked for my phone number and showed her my watch ringing with her cell phone number across the screen. She gives me a sarcastic smile and ignores what I say. Knowing that she's being a dumb Karen, I just go back to sweeping the front half of the restaurant and she just continues to call my phone, leaving me messages about how rude I am being. I go to the bathroom and she somehow had gotten my coworker's attention, the 15-year-old guy, and starts interrogating him about why he would lie to her on the phone and that we are the rudest people she has ever dealt with. I come up to the front and tell him to stop answering her questions and that she needs to leave. She then starts screaming at the top of her lungs that "You're lying and dishonest," but then tells me to shut up and that she is talking after continually telling her to leave in a respectful tone. She keeps repeating that I'm a liar and that she is gonna get me fired. I finally have to tell her that I'm gonna call the cops if she doesn't leave, and she then screams, "Do it!" over and over. By this time, about 20 minutes have passed and other customers are asking her to just leave. She then threatens my job again and walks out and drives to the other location that just happens to have the owner working. She obviously lied to him and he calls me to see what happened with her in the background, as I can see her dumb Karen voice. I explain everything and he then turns to her and says, "Actually, ma'am, I'm only going to be able to let you use one of those coupons per the fundraiser card, and I have one right here to show you the policy." Still on the phone at the time, I hear a loud shriek from her that sounds like someone was being devoured by the swamp monster, followed by the owner telling her to get the F out of his store. And yeah guys, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of my daily uploads, and also check out my podcast by searching for Ripe Stories on Spotify, Amazon, Audible and other podcast platforms. You will often find exclusive episodes and early access to new content. Furthermore, please check out my Patreon by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or my YouTube membership program for even more exclusive stories. Thank you so much and I will see you again tomorrow.